All right, how's it going, everybody? It is Wednesday at 5, and it's time for another episode of Chats for Change. My name is G. Brian Benson. And before we get started, I want to briefly talk about a workshop I'm going to be doing a week from tomorrow. It's called Achieving Balance During Difficult Times. And it's a workshop I used to do. I started doing it, way back in 2009 when my first book came out, the book on all those different ways to stay in life balance. And it was a lot of fun for me to do. And I did it in person. But now with all that's going on and not being able to get together like we used to in person, I'm going to do it as a teleclass. So if you're interested in learning more, in the notes here, in the show notes, there's a link. You can click on it and it'll tell you more. So I'm really proud of it. It's a lot of fun. I think it's a great way to gain a lot of self-awareness, which is the best way to kind of start to strengthen our foundations. So with that being said, I'm going to read you something. It's a poem I've read before. It's called Treasure Map. In search of a treasure, we look for a map, a guide to riches fulfilled, an outline to lead us, a smooth road to travel, a sketch for happiness to yield. We search high to the heavens and low to the earth for reasons to quiet our mind. We look near to friends and far to religion for explanations and answers to find. Our path can be difficult and filled with much pain as we seek away from the heart. A route void of aim, light, or guidance, and back to the beginning we start. So we gather our strength and give try again and begin to roll with the tide. The treasure we seek isn't high, low, near, or far, but in us, resting gently inside. So, with that being said, sometimes something happens to us. Could be a health diagnosis, could be job loss, or the end of a relationship. Something difficult, tough, scary that forces us to look inside. And it kind of acts as an abrupt opening for us to, really take a closer look at our lives, ourselves, our ways of thinking, etc. And so tonight, I wanted to bring on a friend of mine. We've been friends since, we were just talking about this, 2011. And Carol, and tonight's theme of tonight's show is staying positive during difficult times. And Carol was a big inspiration. She was diagnosed with breast cancer back in 2011 and really just handled it with grace. And as most of you know, I went through a situation earlier this year with prostate cancer. And so I just thought we'd just talk about, this doesn't have to apply to just folks who have cancer or gone through that diagnosis, but just anybody who's going through a difficult time. I mean, I think a lot of, our stories are similar in maybe the ways that we are affected or the ways that we are kind of given a little, spark or push to grow. And so I just always have a conversation about that. So welcome, Carol Fisher-Taylor.
Thank you so much for having me. I was so thrilled and looking forward to our conversation today.
Absolutely. Yeah. Carol's a teacher. Sixth grade? Sixth grade.
Grade 6 and 7.
Grade 6 and 7. And she originally reached out to me a long time ago and asked if she could use some stuff that she found on my website or my Facebook page or something, and started sharing it with some of her students. And they even did a project and sent me stuff that they created, and it just really made me feel great. So, I've always had a soft spot in my heart for you and for your students. And so thank you.
Aww. Yeah. It's hard to believe we were talking about that. Hard to believe that we've known each other for 9 years.
Yeah.
I bring you into my school classroom all the time. I bring Steve the alien in and
Thank you. Do you want to just fill in our listeners a little bit more maybe about, your situation and just kind of the beginnings of it, and then, we'll kind of get that rolling.
Sure.
Yeah.
Well, things kind of unfold for me in 3-year cycles. So in 2008, I was separated, and I was the young mom of 2 boys who at the time were 5 and 11. And then 3 years later, in 2011, August 22nd, 2011, I was diagnosed with breast cancer the same day that my divorce came final. So that was a big day. I'll never remember, or I'll never forget that day.
Right.
And then 3 years later, in 2014, I had been writing and publishing. I published Smiling Single Mom, It's All Right, my book.
Yeah.
And then 3 years later, wrote and co-authored and published a book called Time to Rise with other authors all around the globe, kind of brought together by Andrea Pennington. And then 2020 is a start of a whole new, August 22nd, 2020 is the start of a whole new 3-year cycle. So I'm excited to see what's going to unfold.
Yeah, so everything's so up in the air now, more so than ever before.
Yes.
Going back to your diagnosis, how hard was it for you to stay positive, right? Kind of when you got the news. I mean, I'm sure it was a jolt. It kind of was for me too.
I know. Well, I knew before I had talked to my doctor. I don't know if it was the same for you, but I just knew there was something wrong. And I kind of procrastinated and didn't go to the doctor for about 2 months because I just didn't want to face it. So I had to kind of deal with that within myself. And then when I did go, and she told me, and it just hit me like a ton of bricks. And I found myself in this complete place of fear, and I knew that there was nowhere to go but up. You know that too, right?
Yeah, I mean, there's so many different types of cancer out there, and I guess for me, I think it probably was different for you. I think prostate is probably one of the better ones to get, they say, and so I never really ever felt like it was gonna maybe be the end of me or anything like that. And it all happened so fast that I don't know, I would imagine yours was, I don't know, more intense, more potentially, or.
Well, and I wasn't really so much afraid for me. I was more thinking about my boys.
Yeah.
Like, these boys need me, so I've got to get healthy.
Right.
It wasn't, I didn't stick around in fear for too long. And then there was this acceptance. And now I know what it is. It's diagnosed. Let's deal with it. And then, like you said, everything unfolded very quickly, and the right doctors were brought to me, and I made my decisions and prayed and got my answers from within, and took the steps I needed to take.
That's good. What were some of the things you did initially after you kind of got to that part of acceptance?
I knew that I needed surgery. Just in my heart, I knew that surgery was needed. But after surgery, they said chemo, and I was kind of about chemo. But then I thought, yep, I needed that too. So I did the chemo. But after chemo, I was just wiped out. I couldn't take any more treatment. All my hair was gone. I was super weak, super skinny. And I knew that I couldn't do radiation, or the 5 years of tamoxifen was the drug that they were going to put me on for 5 years. So I said yes to surgery, and yes to chemo, and no to radiation and tamoxifen. Wow. But everyone has a different journey, and everyone's
absolutely
choices. And I just encourage anyone who's going through a hard time, don't look at other people's journeys. Listen to your own heart and do what's right for you.
Yeah, that's so true. I talked to a handful of people after I got my diagnosis who had gone through it, and every guy's situation was completely different. And I just, someone really had rough goes of it for a variety of reasons. Says, you know what? I don't want to talk to anybody else because I feel like I'm going to be fine, and I just need to just focus on being healthy. And everybody probably knows a little bit. I've always been a pretty healthy eater, but I really went healthy, and that helped. I just wanted to get myself as strong as I could, physically and emotionally before I went in for surgery.
And it worked. Yay, it worked.
Yeah, thank you, thank you, thank you. Yes, yes. So
where did you go again to, you went away for a while and did some healthy
yep,
eating?
I went to the Optimum Health Institute in San Diego, which has been around for like 40 years, and did a 3-week raw food plant detox, and it was great. It's kind of funny how if we really listen to our intuition, it's I'd been feeling before I even got the diagnosis that I was really wanting to kind of maybe head into being go vegetarian, and I'd done that before, and eat a lot cleaner, and I got the diagnosis about 2 weeks later. Then a week after that, or after the holidays, then a couple weeks after that, I'm in San Diego doing that, and just like asking you shall receive. But it really made me feel so good, and I continue to eat that way, and it's been a really good lifestyle change for sure.
And now we're just in prevention mode.
Absolutely, yeah, absolutely.
Doing all
Yeah,
that good stuff to make sure that we stay in that healthy place.
yeah.
What all do you do for prevention? Like,
Just kind of what I did before, other than just really clean the food up even that much more. I mean, I still, move every day. Movement's really important for me. Trying to keep my vibration raised by surrounding myself with positive people, positive media, whatever that means. It's interesting. Being having had to go through this during the isolation and stuff was not easy. It sucked. I know that I knew that I would be able to do it, and I did it, but not really having anybody able to do this, be there for me, per se, sucked. I had a couple of really good friends here, get me to the hospital and back and stuff, and a couple other friends brought some food, and sent some food. But other than that, there was no contact or connection or any of that stuff when you need it the most. And so, we're still in it here. LA has been kind of isolating for the whole time, for the most part. And I'm ready for more. I'm ready to, get more community and connect, for sure.
mm-hmm.
I mean, it's so important.
Yeah, I was really lucky with that because of my school, and all my friends and family were so close. And
Some of the stuff, because I remember some of the things. I mean, some of the students shave their hair too, right?
Yeah. Well, we had a head shave at the school, so it was actually the same day that I had already had one treatment of chemo, so my hair was just starting to fall out by the chunks. And we had raised some money through the school and did a head shave at the school in front of the whole, as an assembly, which was wonderful. Wow. And then I went home to get healthy, and the staff there, they signed up and they brought us food for every day for like 2 weeks. And they brought so much food. Like, they would come in with like massive casseroles. So the boys and I would eat off of that, and then we put it in the freezer, and then the next day we would have another meal, and then we'd eat and put it in the freezer, and that food lasted us for probably 5 months. So yeah. And then at Christmas time, the staff usually would exchange Christmas gifts. The teachers would draw names and exchange gifts, but that year they all put their money towards the boys and I, and they came over and gave us a check and a stocking full of presents. And yeah, I had friends from because it's a small town, everybody knows what's going on, and I was completely supported. And on Sundays, my friends from all the different churches in town, because there's lots of different churches, would put the boys and I on their prayer list and would send us love and blessings in their services. And every Sunday, I always felt so much better. And I knew it was because of all the wonderful energy that was being sent to us on Sundays.
That's great. So after your diagnosis, we're going to backtrack to Steve.
Mhm.
After the diagnosis, I know kind of how it was for me, but did you, there's always this thing about like fight cancer. And I almost think it's the opposite. You surrender.
Yes.
And so that's what I did. I just surrendered. I knew I'd be fine. And I just kind of surrendered to it because I have a tendency to try to, create and push and do things and make things happen. And I just knew that that was not the thing to do during this situation. I mean, it's kind of almost perfect in some ways too, even though it made it more difficult that all the isolating was going on when I had it, because I was just in turn everything off mode and just heal and eat well and just rest for months. And you know what I mean? Because if things had been happening, then I might have kind of, I need to get out there. But it was just kind of a blessing in disguise in some ways. But I know for me, and when difficult things happen, sometimes I think it is healthy to surrender.
Yeah, I had an exercise bike and I was riding it downstairs one day, and there's the resistance button on the bike. So
Yeah.
I was like, okay, I'm going to turn the resistance down. And it was like a light bulb went on. Yes, turn the resistance down.
Yeah.
Resist less. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it doesn't mean you fight in that you just take care of yourself and you just, do things to surround yourself with love and positivity and stuff. But I don't know. I mean, you can still have a strong will and surrender.
Yes, absolutely. Actually, that makes it even better for sure.
Yeah, and not just with cancer, but I think anything. I think sometimes if we kind of surrender to the present moment, it allows us to move through things.
Yes.
And
that kind of like I always thought that it's kind of been a blessing because I learned so much. Like I've never done so much research in my life, and learning about healthy ways to change and how to manage body, mind, and spirit, all of them, like healthy. Like I was like definitely, and the toxins and trying to eliminate toxins from my life and exercising more and getting adequate sleep and bringing down my stress, because that was one thing, because the stress of the divorce and trying to be the best mom I could and under the pressure, I think that it showed up for me. The stress showed up for me as cancer. It was my body's way of saying, if you're not going to slow down, I'll make you slow down.
That's right. If you don't stop and smell the roses, Brian, and have fun while you're doing this, we're going to make you.
Exactly. Yeah, but I think it prepared me for like now, because I would have been a nervous wreck going through this whole COVID thing and losing my job and worrying about my family and everything. But I think that I needed to go through that experience so that I could handle this one in a better way.
Were you teaching from home?
Right now, I was subbing when COVID hit, so I haven't been teaching.
Yeah.
But in Canada, the government's been offering some assistance. So yeah, so that's been good.
Good. What were some of the lessons you've learned from your diagnosis and experience?
To relax, to not take everything so seriously, to believe in myself, and to call in the support of other people. I always was so independent and I can handle this on my own, and you too. Yeah, exactly. And then it was quite an adventure to learn how to say yes, thank you, I will take your help, and I appreciate it.
Yeah. It's made me a better receiver. I still have a ways to go, and I'm working on it.
Me too. I think you always have to work on it.
Yeah. Nice. How are you different as a person now?
Before, I was very much a people pleaser, very much cared what other people thought about me and worried a lot about things. So I started meditating, and I learned about tapping, and I incorporate those. And I learned that I need to fill up my own bucket, or I have nothing to give to anybody. So I did lots of things to help fill up my bucket so I could overflow to my kids. And I made boundaries. Like it was okay all of a sudden for me to say no thanks. I don't want to do that, or that's too much right now. And I had never set up boundaries before. It was always like, as a pleaser, I was always like, yes, I'll do that. I'll do that. I'll do that. I'll try and take care of my life and take care of yours.
I kind of had something similar. I mean, I wasn't, I've been kind of wiped out through my life. I'm better now. But I mean, after I got the diagnosis, started going through stuff, it just, and somebody else told me this too, and it's so true. It just, anything that I didn't want to do anymore, I'm not going to do it. It's not that we don't know that life is short, but it's like a wake-up call. And I'm only really trying to do stuff I want to do going forward. And it's just kind of like pushes you through this doorway of learning some lessons, or of maybe cleaning up some stuff where we could love and accept ourselves in a better way.
Exactly. Yes. It's all about moving from fear within yourself to loving yourself, like that whole scale. Like in my book, I have the whole emotional scale as it goes from fear to love, and just find out where you are on that scale and move up as much as you can. Because
it's so interesting, because I think it's counterintuitive, like, to say no to somebody or whatever. In some ways, you think, how am I loving but you are, you know what I mean? We can only do so much, and we only have so much time and energy, and we need to connect with others and help and do all that. Absolutely. However, we need to kind of, so cliche, but start with ourselves. And the more that we can say no, then boundaries are so important, as you said, but yet it just kind of lets us go and do those other things when we are reaching out and helping more on our own terms and in a healthier way, with more energy, positive energy. And yeah.
And I always try to remember that it's all right, like that everything's right and everything happens for a reason, and
definitely
the good things and the bad things. It doesn't really matter. It's all given to us as learning lessons, and we can either learn from them in a good positive way, or we can learn from them however. But we're all just here, like you say, we're all here to just learn and grow and accept ourselves.
Yeah. I'm very grateful for my experience. I mean, because it woke me up a lot of ways, just to kind of get off the hamster wheel that I was on.
Yeah. I look at myself in the mirror lots, and I say, okay, bring it on. A new day. Shit happens. We're going to deal with it.
Yeah. What would you say to someone who might be going through something similar as to what we went through?
Face all your emotions. Accept it all. Accept it all. Say, if you wake up and you're having a bad day, that's all right. Just say, today's a bad day, and that's okay. And to face your emotions and to let them go. I know when you were talking to Christine Carlson, you were talking about crying, and she said that she got to the point where she realized how healing it was to cry. And I know I did too. And I did a lot of screaming into pillows and and laughing and dancing, and just do whatever you can to move yourself up that emotional scale and accept where you are.
Yeah. And that it will improve.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, for me, the whole emotion thing, it's interesting. I'm just the way that I'm all set up and astrologically, et cetera, et cetera. I'm very kind of even keel kind of for the most part. And I don't get too high or too low. And sometimes I don't share my emotions as much as I probably should. And it's not like I'm necessarily afraid to, it's just they don't want to come out sometimes like other people's do. So what I've been doing lately is just once during the day, I'll just like sit and just like, all right, what are you feeling? And then just really just kind of just, instead of just like just being unaware of it, I try to, all right, I'm a little nervous right now because finances or I'm just, tired, or I'm frustrated with this, just verbalize it. And that's just kind of a way for me to kind of help release things a little bit. And I, I'm sure you are too, but a really healthy thing to do is just, jot down how we're feeling. That's why a lot of people love journaling and stuff, because it gets it out of your head. It's just I don't know, sometimes it just by being able to see something on paper and to clear it out keeps it from rummaging around and causing us anxiety or stress. And I guess by trying to verbalize maybe how I'm feeling, it kind of cleans up the heart area a little bit, in the same way.
Yeah, really well said. Yep, nailed it.
Thank you. Yeah.
So it's about connecting with and loving yourself, right? And connecting with all of it, not just when you're in a great mood. You're accepting all of it and dealing with it. Yeah.
We're running down to the end here. Tell the listeners just briefly about your book, Smiling Single Mom. All right.
It's got to right here.
Yay.
The picture on the front, my mom took that picture right after my hair was starting to grow back in, and I was just starting to feel healthy again. And we went for a bike ride out in the country and ended up in this big canola field. So I'm like, take a picture of me. So yeah, that was the picture on the front. And the book goes from fear to love in the chapters. It starts with fear and then moves up the emotional scale. And then the last chapter is about love. And it just goes through my journey and kind of lots of stories and lots about different feelings and stuff like that. And there's a question at the end of every chapter so that people can reflect.
Yeah. I love it.
Yeah. And then the Time to Rise one too.
Yes. You shared a story in there, right?
I did. Yeah. Just one story. And there's 29 of us who wrote that. So it was, I like the title, Time to Rise. I'm like, I'm in. I want to put a chapter in there.
That's a great title. Yeah. Awesome. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you. Is there anything else that I may have missed that you want to share, or?
Nope. No, I don't think so.
Not at all.
We got it. We're good at that. Got it all. Well, thank you so much.
Thank you, Carol. And folks, in the show notes, there's some links there for websites and such. And I invite you to go check that out, learn more. And also there's the link that I talked about at the start of the show about the teleclass workshop webinar. I guess they're all the same thing, that I'm going to be doing next Thursday, that I'm really excited about. So I would love to have you join me. So until next week, thank you very much. Take care.